Welcome to Beyond Business Barriers, powered by insights, driven by strategy, and yes, assisted by AI. I'm your host, Roy MacEwen, and today's episode is part of a special series where we sit down with industry leaders to dig into what's working, what's not, and what the future holds. Jules Roy Agency, Roy MacEwen, speaking with Michael Beck as CEO of Ink Tank GTM.
It's nice to be here. When I was growing up, my mom used to listen to a poet laureate named Rod MacEwen. Are you familiar?
No.
Look him up. This was like and this is a little spicy potentially for your show, but this was the baby making poetry of the 70s. This guy would read stuff and people would swoon. And so, yeah, he had one, I remember the title's called Champagne and Breadsticks. It was just one of those odd things that sticks out in your head, and you're a MacEwen, and so there's a guy named Rod MacEwen, very famous poet.
Well, I'm sure we're related in some way,
Yeah, I
shape, or
can already
form.
tell by the cut of your jib.
I know. Well, let's see. We came to North America about 1673, so
Okay.
we're spread all over North America.
And where'd you land?
I landed on the east coast of Prince Edward Island.
Funny, you don't look like you're as old as 1673. You're doing well.
No, I do well. I do well. Genetically enhanced, and time has passed and gone well, and we continue to make leaps and bounds in the medical field as AI does for us right now in the technical field.
Okay.
So I'm really excited, Michael, to have you today
I'm glad to be
on
here too.
Beyond Business Barriers. Now, I want you to introduce yourself as a business owner, and we'll dive into that. We'll kick things off by hearing about your journey, the shifts you're noticing in your industry. After that, we'll dig into the biggest hurdles you're facing right now and what you're aiming to achieve. And we'll close off by looking what's ahead on your horizon. Now, let's keep our listeners on the edge of their seats, Michael, for the next 30 minutes. Are you ready?
I am a very boring man, and I'll try to do my best.
Oh, yeah, you don't strike me as boring whatsoever, so don't even go there. So, can
All
you
right.
tell
Well,
me a bit about your role at your company and how it fits into the bigger picture?
yeah. And again, thank you so much. Well, so my name's Michael Beck. I'm CEO of an outfit that's in North America. You're a Canadian outfit, but we're based in Tampa, Florida, Boston. We operate on the East Coast predominantly, but we're national. The company's called Ink Tank GTM. We are what we call go to market, as it's called. GTM stands for agency, and our sole purpose for existing is to help brands, predominantly right now tech companies, to get their startups off the ground. So from everything from revenue operations to understanding the fabled TAM, SAM, and SOM. If those you don't know those acronyms, right? Your serviceable, obtainable market. That's fancy language for your customer.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Love the
Uh,
acronyms,
yeah.
man.
Yeah. Well, somebody once said wisdom begins with the definition of terms. So if people start rattling off acronyms, they need to start offering definitions because it makes me crazy. Right?
If you saw my script prompter, you would know that in brackets, after every acronym that I use, I explain it. That's not
There
for
you
the
go.
listeners. That's for me.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I mean, sometimes acronyms just make us sound smart, but make other people confused. So, but no, we help tech companies get their business off the ground. Today we operate specifically in the hospitality area. So, companies like POS companies, forecasting organizations, things that do labor scheduling, inventory management, supply chain, business intelligence, uh, loyalty. There's a whole gambit of solutions that run a restaurant, right? And on average, we found there's roughly between 18 and 22 pieces of software running concurrently that run a restaurant, right? Because you have to
I
schedule labor,
never would have guessed that.
you have to forecast your food orders, you have to understand the speed of service through your business, you have to understand your customer, or these things they call CDP platforms or customer data platforms, right? It's a lot of big data, and most of that is harnessing the power of that data to optimize whether it's their ordering or their scheduling and control costs, right? And so most of these systems have some impact in some way, shape, or form, or they have a way to help enhance the business or bring people in the doors of the business. So it's been a real pleasure. I've been doing this for 16 years. in the space. And so we started the entrepreneurial journey, though, about a year ago. I started a company called Popcorn GTM. It's still up and running and doing really great. And that was more of a marketing organization I stood up. And then about 6 months ago, I had this idea. I wanted to scale something and build a business that was bigger than my original vision. And so I did some soul searching, decided to set up a new organization, which is the one we have today, which is Ink Tank. And it's a lot of fun. I absolutely love the journey. I am what they call neurospicy. And because of my special brain, I love to solve problems. Right. And I am able to identify patterns really quickly to help identify those things that would be a point of interconnection, understanding how we would get to different ways to get to the answers we need. So that was a lot of talking. Hopefully that answered the question.
No, actually, it did answer my question, and it was
Yeah.
very thorough, and I'm rather impressed. I'm already learning. I won't say how much I'll retain, but hey, I'll learn.
I think the circumference of your head on screen grew by about 16 centimeters.
That's perfect.
Oh, I was.
Oh, happens to me all the time. So now here's something.
Yep.
I know I, you're not a typical person. I can tell with your personality. So what does a typical day look like for Michael Beck? Talk me through a typical day. Business
Wow.
oriented, not a day
No,
off.
it's okay. My average work day is roughly, and this is not a bragging right. It's actually a bad thing. Right now, I'm doing between 20 and 22 hours a day. My wife is not happy that some nights I sleep 2 hours, some nights I sleep four. She's worried about my continued health.
Yes,
But
because you're
but
in your late 30s. That's why.
I wish I would sell my soul to be back in my late 30s. Anyways, no, I'm 54 right now, right? And so, but I really, really believe this. When my wife and my family are like, hey, why are you working so hard? And I'm a farm boy at heart. I grew up picking blueberries and bucking hay in North Idaho. I was always an early riser then because I had to be. And I always grew up with the idea that nobody's coming to save you, right? When you live on a farm
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
you're growing your own food and all the things that you need to survive, you know that nobody is on their way to go, oh, let me make your life great. Let me solve these problems for you, right? And so, and you get this, right? That when you have people in your charge, your employees, when you have your family uh, dependent, although they might not know it because it feels so consistent and normal that rides on your shoulders, and that could almost sound like a nervous energy. But on the other side of that is understanding the tuning fork resonance of the truth of your vision. It keeps you up at night. You get excited, right? You are, and there's things between them. Yeah, I'm purposeful, but I am passionate, and I'm passionate in a way that is borderline fanatical, and it drives me, you know. And a lot of the roads led me here aren't the most pleasant places, and so I had a lot of things that some people would say would be, well, that's a pretty good reason not to do any of this, and nobody would blame you, right, if you just rolled over. And those things there are fuel.
And
Every
that
little naysayer, every little bad moment, every bit of difficulty I had in my life is fuel. It is not a shackle or something that holds me down, and that drives me, right? And so my day starts off. Actually, I'm not the thing I didn't adopt is the atomic habits. One of the atomic habits is getting up really early. I'm not your guy. I get up around 7:30, 8 o'clock. That's kind of late.
well, that's early to some people's
Well, it
standards.
is. It is
You
to
know,
to the kid. You need to get
that's
off your
usually
couch
when I
to go
have
get
my
the
nap
job.
myself. Yeah, I'm usually having a nap by then because I've already been up for 4 hours, so I
Yeah.
can relate.
But no, I get up around the time. I meet with my team. We have 3 stand-ups a week. If it's a Monday, we do a 30-minute saying, hey, here's what we're individually going to do and accomplish. We operate by a system, EOS, which is an entrepreneurial operating system. It's based on a tenets of a book called Traction, right? And it's a fantastic read if you're an entrepreneur, you want to grow your business or learn to scale it. And what it really does is just a set of disciplines that says, well, one, if we're going to have meetings, let's make them meaningful. And if we're going to meet at the beginning of the week, let's all agree, here's the things we're going to do. kind of a novel concept. At the end of the week, we're going to ask if we did it. Wow, amazing concept, right? And hold each other accountable. And then at the end of the week, it's a 90-minute long meeting. We have a 30-minute at the beginning. Here's what we're going to do. 15-minute in the middle to speed that Hot Wheel car down the track after it runs out of a little bit of juice middle of the week. And then Friday, it's 90 minutes. We update, we do our thing, we review our numbers, and 60 minutes we spend discussing problems we have as a business, things that we are vexed by. And if the thing is so big, we pull that one thing out that's the item we can't fix, and we turn that into a rock. Meaning, here's the thing organizationally we have to develop or create that's going to take a lot of horsepower, but if we do this, we'll have moved our business forward. And so every day we operate by these different things. We assign tasks to each other, we delegate. But I mean, I love this business because it's so incredibly different every day, right? And the reality of people like me, I said earlier, neurospicy. What that means for those who don't know, it means I have ADHD. And actually, for some folks, it's rough. For me, it's a superpower. As long as I have a team behind me to take care of it, because I will think of new ideas and things. But I'm also, to a farm analogy, I'm basically a combine going through a wheat field. I got all these ideas, I'm throwing it over my shoulders, and my team is catching them, going, "Oh, that's a good one. We'll put that away. Well, hey, we're going to take him off that and make sure he doesn't think about that again." And they kind of guide me through it. And so I work with customers. I do business development. I do demos during the week. I work with my clients and coach them in various areas. So for business coaching, we actually help teach people to sell. We sit on their sales calls and understand some of the things they're doing to make them more effective or lose weak sauce language, like using the word just.
Right.
I just was trying to get to you. I just would like to meet. I would just like never do business.
Right? Yeah. Exactly.
So that was a lot. And literally in the space of a day, I'll put in what some probably say or 3 or 4 days worth of work.
Yeah, by that standard. Well,
Problem is I don't take breaks. I usually don't eat. I'm bad.
Caffeine's good though. Caffeine's
Yes.
good. And people don't realize when you have ADHD and you drink coffee, they're like, "Oh my God, you're going to bounce off the roof." No, that's what keeps me focused and lowers.
Yes.
And I could tell right off the get-go, I wasn't going to ask you, but being a fellow ADHDer,
Yep.
I can
I'm
totally
very open about it.
relate. Yes. And it's a superpower. It's very frustrating for those around us
Yeah.
because you'll bring 10 things up. Well, and then they'll ask you a question about the second thing, and they'll be like going, "Well, that was 3 minutes ago. I've already processed 10 more things. So what are we going to talk about now?"
Yeah, I've moved
But the
on.
thing is, when you have ADHD and you think at that level, having expectations that everybody else can do that, not a good thing. However, you have to become incredibly organized. You have to
Build systems.
follow it through.
Yeah.
And I learned that early in my adult life because people couldn't process the way we process. And it's like you're thinking through a problem, you're troubleshooting. While they're talking to you, you're going back and thinking, "Okay, what did they say there? Okay, already. Well, and you have 10 things. And if you don't record that, there's no way you can explain that back to the person because they cannot process that. My wife, she's a superhuman person because she also has ADHD.
Oh, wow. That's going to be fun.
We have some wild conversations.
Yeah.
And people are like, "You're arguing." And we're going, "No, we're not." This is a discussion. This is an in-depth discussion. So troubleshooting, but I find that if I'm trying to troubleshoot with somebody else who has ADHD, there has to be someone there to take that information and yeah.
It's basically like it just landed on me so perfectly too. It's like being in an escape room, right? Well, if you've ever done an escape room, you have jobs, right? And the job of one person is to go find this thing, ADHD person, and go look under everything. And then there's the guy that takes the inventory and goes, "Okay, what do we do with that?" Right? And so I agree because I have a late night podcast I do in Canada with a really great guy named Jay Ashton and another gentleman, Dominic Padula. And Jay is also neurospicy, and he actually makes my version of it seem tame. And we have watched poor people come on our show, and there's like high profile executives, and there'll be two of them sitting there talking to us, and him and I are just bouncing off the walls. And Dominic is the straight man in this comedy duo, and he's just sitting there moderating both of us, trying to keep us on subject.
Trying
Because
to direct you. Yeah, I can only
it's more like
imagine.
making it flow. You cannot do anything. You just have to guide it. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if we went too off subject there, but one thing.
Absolutely not, because this is what this podcast is
Well,
all about.
I applaud you for leaning into it. It's funny. I've talked to other executives, and they and privately say, yeah, I have that too. And please don't tell anybody, right? And I get there's a stigma potentially, but if people really understood, if people that have this thing have been able to master and build the systems and tools and people around them, it is really dangerous in a very good way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you could
And
solve a lot of the world's
I
problems if they took a group of us and put us into a room and kept notes. We could solve so many of the world's problems, but we're stereotyped.
that's right, because we're also insane.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
but I do anybody out there that's listening, and this is kind of one of my personal things. If I get on somewhere, I do talk about it because there's children out there that you may have that you're trying to figure out what's wrong with them. They won't stop talking. They won't stop bouncing around. They won't pay attention in class. Uh, right? And what happens to these poor kids is, especially if they don't get diagnosed, the parents start saying things like, you know, don't be you today, right? Because there's so many repeated criticisms, and rightfully so. Kids need to be helped, right? But the problem with the ADHD kid is that if the family doesn't understand it, they're going to treat it as if there's something they can do to fix it by merit of, in cases, praying harder and beating more, right?
Or making excuses for how
Yeah,
their children are.
exactly. And
Fix
so
them.
then the
We're
kids,
not broken. We're
yeah, and
not
the kids go
broken.
around trying to be like everybody else. So they put on this thing we call the mask, and they
Absolutely.
spend the next 30 years trying to figure out why they don't fit in, why they feel so uncomfortable. And it's exhausting. And the best thing I ever did for myself was 2 years ago. I realized I had a mask. I learned about this thing. I took it off, let my freak flag fly. Life got amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
You
own your
feel
truth,
full, you feel rejuvenated, and that's I only require 2 or 4 hours sleep thing because our bodies tell us when we're exhausted, we shut down. We
Yeah.
pop right back up, but only when we're
Yeah.
exhausted.
I literally passed out my keyboard today after I was like, right name. Like, oh, okay. I need to go to bed.
Oh yeah. Well, I
I
remember
took a nap today. I don't
I did
usually do that.
the same idea.
Yeah.
I don't know if you did it too, because I grew up farming and fishing, commercial fishing and on a farm on the East Coast.
Where at?
And PEI.
And you say commercial fishing?
Yes, my
I
father
come
was a
from
commercial
commercial
fisher.
fisherman too. My grandpa was the chief engineer for Starkist. He'd fish out of Samoa for tuna.
Oh well, everybody knows Starkist.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's right. Old
That was
Charlie.
a And that's kind of funny. We live by the ocean, and I remember eating starfish tuna because I would mix that up with my mayonnaise and make myself some awesome sandwiches.
There you go. Yeah. Anyway,
Look, anyway, there we go. Now I'm talking about sandwiches. Well, I'm
welcome
250
to
pounds,
ADHD
right? Hey,
theater.
I'm 250 pounds. I eat a lot.
Yes.
Here's the thing. Um, I'm glad it's we're not going to be able to not talk about it. I mean, it's not like it's an elephant in the room, and both of us are very open about it. And that's the thing. I want people to realize that if you have kids, they're not broken. They don't need
No.
fixing.
No.
You need to maximize their potential by understanding what they go through.
100%.
So, uh, now I want to ask you a question because you're incredibly knowledgeable about your business. I know that. What major changes or trends are you seeing in the industry right now? I could name 10,000. So let's
Yeah.
narrow it down to like 2.
All right. Well, I'm going to say an acronym that people are just kind of probably tired of at this point. I'll give you $100 if you can't guess what it is. So AI, right? Artificial intelligence, and specifically agentic AI, which is another another evolution of these things. It is literally the single most radical enhancement that society will have gotten, I think, in the last 50 years. It is actually staggering to understand what you can do with these things on a personal level, on a business level, uh, and on a if you're designing or creating software solutions. Now these are things that are baked into these tools, right? Because what AI does is for the people and like germane to hospitality, right? There's people that have to measure the temperatures of sauces all day long. There's people that have to skim through labor schedules, look for a moment in time where there might be a little bit of something they can recover. They have to look through volumes and volumes of data to get some sort of insight. There's all these mind-numbing, continued, repeated processes that are just horrible, but we need to do them, right? We don't need to do that anymore,
Yep.
right?
No, we don't.
When you deploy a piece of software, right? Let's say you're going to put an ERP system, or there's your acronym, Enterprise Resource Planning Solution. Something that does all your back
Write
end,
that
your
down.
back office, your inventory, all these other things that run your business. Those are typically long and protracted implementations because you have this very large piece of code that has to be customized to every business's specific signatures, right? For example, point of sale system, right? So a person would have to code every single menu item and then pull in all the pictures and then do the costing and linkages to those items to the inventory system so it decrements that. They would have to do the integrations to the other endpoints by which that point of sale connects, like whether it's an ordering system or a back office or a delivery system, etc. All that is typically a human effort. AI, and what it really is just flipping digital switches. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. It connects to that. And that typically takes, 6 months, 2-3 years to
Right.
do at an enterprise level. We're talking,
Instant.
right? Yes.
0.2 seconds. We won't say
Yes.
instant.
Or
Nothing's
here, take it
instant.
to another level. We're talking to a company whose AI is building software on its own.
Oh, I know. It's
Right.
incredible.
So development cycles, these guys built a kiosk, which typically takes years to put together, one in 2 weeks. And here you go do it, right? Or for example, my quality of life enhancement, I do, I'll meet with a client. They will tell me what they're trying to do and solve as a business. As I'm consulting with them, I'm running a AI agent on the side that's listening and taking copious notes and pulling out salient points just for discussion later, which is okay. But then if you really want to go badass, then you take the transcript of that call, you plug it into your agent that you build inside of any of the GPTs. I'm an OpenAI guy who's ChatGPT, and I built one that's my proposal writer. I've vetted every proposal I've ever done. I've vetted every piece of content and information about my company, about my competitors, about this industry. And so then I take that script or that transcript from that conversation I just had, and I throw that into my AI, and it literally digests it, processes it, and delivers a fully articulated proposal in minutes that is mindful of every single thing that CEO or founder told me was important to him, addressed every single issue, and did it in a way that is succinct and actionable and intelligent. And that did that for me in 10 minutes.
Oh,
Right?
10 minutes. That's
Yes.
pretty impressive,
And then I have to go present that back to the guy. So I'll take that thing, I'll dump that into my OpenAI again. I'll say, listen, I need you to build me a PowerPoint deck, prompt for a PowerPoint deck that I'm going to do in beautiful AI. I put that into ChatGPT. It spits out my prompt. I take that prompt, I drop that into beautiful AI. 5 minutes later, I have a beautiful, perfect PowerPoint deck with images, slides, bar graphs that move and animate all the way through exactly what I want. I have done 4 days of work in 20 minutes.
Absolutely. And people don't. That is such a time saver.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Now it's a gift. It's a
Yeah.
gift.
Now there's some
How to
warnings,
operate
though.
it, that's the thing. You know how
Yeah.
to operate. You know how to prompt it, right?
There's something that I think people should be aware of. So, back in the day, it was a little bit harder to pass yourself off as something you weren't. Right? You walk in the door. They go, okay, what do you do? They tell you, you go, okay, now write me a cover letter on it, and please write me a proposal about what you want to do and what you propose to be to my business and all the values you bring and what you intellectually bring to the table. Oh, no worries. I'll go back. I'll spend a week or two. I'll figure that out, and I'll write up something wonderful. I'll hand it to you. I can hand you a pile of some old BS that is not me, that looks beautiful.
Yeah. And
get hired, be the man for the job, and be found wanting right after that.
oh, I see that
you have to be really
so
careful with
much
that.
right now. People get into the position, and then all of a sudden, this person can't do this job.
Yep.
But they said they could, and it looked like they could do it, and they said all the right things.
Yeah.
But they can't. Well, that's how people with ADHD used to get jobs, eh? What do you want to hear? Talk for a minute. I got
we
you.
were our own GPT.
Yeah.
So no, but it's something to be aware of, like, and
Oh,
for
it's scary.
people that aren't sure, There are things called sniffers. You can run any document through a sniffer, and it'll tell you what level of AI was created there, and it'll just give you an idea. Was this completely original content? Was this his own thoughts? Right? And if you're hiring somebody, it's a big paycheck, and they've answered their questions in a way that's almost uncannily great. Run it through a sniffer. There's nothing wrong with using it to help you get there.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
I would be doing that because
But you can also measure by percentage. This is 99% AI, meaning they didn't do any original thought here. They just pushed a button, right?
yeah.
You can put down your cogent thoughts and have a nice outline stuff, and then tell it now put it in a wrapper. Look at the stuff I've written before, and then make that, and it's beautiful. But yeah, the question though, the biggest transformation that's happening now in our industry, in any industry, in all industries globally,
Yes.
is this AI thing, right? Because it touches every sector. It touches entertainment, and it touches video games. Like, think about this:
It
video
touches
games now.
everything.
If you think about Grand Theft Auto, you got these little guys walking around, and there's what they call NPCs, or what they call non-player characters. They are two-dimensional beings at best. They just, they walk in the door, they bounce off it, they disappear. You never know them again. They are pixels that go by a screen. They've injected AI into every NPC of a Grand Theft Auto game. Each one of them will remember you. We're talking millions of different vanilla players now actually have lives, and they remember each other as they walk around this world. Whether you're playing or not, they are living and experiencing things and remembering things. And when you intersect with it, they will remember that you were there each time and interact with you in a way accordingly. So if you rob them or hurt them, they'll remember that and act accordingly. Literally, even these things that are just atmospheric can now have a life of their own. It's almost like your toaster come alive and walk around the house. Like, these things remember things.
I like that analogy. A toaster
Yeah,
walking around.
yeah,
It better have bread in
yeah.
it, man, because I
In,
like
in
toast.
fact, we went to the Sphere in Las Vegas, and my wife and I, the first time we went, have you been?
No, I have
Okay.
not. I have
I
not.
really recommend it. It is absolutely amazing. It is a marvel of modern technology, probably one of Marvel, seven wonders of the modern world. And so when you walk in this place, we didn't know what the idea of it was. We thought we were there to see a movie. And so immediately we ran up to our seats. Our showing is that, we got let in at 7. We thought the movie was at 7. So we ran upstairs and we waited for 45 minutes wondering why the movie hadn't started yet. It's a very expensive place. What the hell's wrong with them? Turns out the first hour is supposed to be spent in a lobby with all their technology. And they have AI greeters there, right? Hey, how you doing? Welcome to our place. They're robotic. They're fully articulated. There's like 5 or 6 of them around the thing coming in, and they speak every single language. They remember every single person that comes through. You have to sign a waiver when you come in because it recognizes you. Speaks with full emotion, in inflection. I watch it talk to the person next to me. Hey, in the Laker team, how's your team? Laker hat, how's your team doing? Da 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 da. It recognizes a lot of different things. And after everybody left and we were leaving for the night, and I was talking to the staff, I go, what happens when the lights go out? What do you mean? Are they alive? Are they alive? Are they on? And he goes, no, they shut them off. But what they do is they know us, the staff, and they have sentiment scanning, happy or sad, right? They have thermal sensors. Hey, you look like you have a fever. You maybe should go home, right? There's some really interesting stuff that these things can do.
Now, does that intrigue you or make you nervous?
I mean, the Orwellian implications are massive, right? I mean, or there's a book called Singularity. When does AI wake up and figure
Exactly.
something out? I mean, if you want to get a little weird here for a second, we're building something incredibly intelligent. In fact, what you would say, OpenAI is considered to have the entire corpus of human language in one place, right? And now we have the advent of quantum computing is here, which is they are doing billions of years or hundreds of millions of years of calculations in microseconds.
Yes.
Now plug that brain in that body, and you tell me what comes next, right?
Unknown.
Well, I don't know if it's unknown. Actually, I think we've seen the movies,
Yeah.
right?
That's
Sarah Connor knew pretty darn well,
yeah.
and so in fact, James Cameron, it's funny enough, who created the Terminator series, said we're kind of at this moment in time, and I think it's really interesting. I don't think it's anything to be really afraid of in the sense of Skynet's going to wake up, but I think in a very sci-fi fun way, we're giving birth to a new life form.
And I've heard a lot of people give that sentiment, and they believe it, and I think more people that study and understand it would come to that belief. Because people only want to hear what they want to hear. I think
Absolutely.
you've noticed that in your lifetime on this earth, because they don't deal with happened in history, because obviously they don't read the history books, because humanity keeps making the same mistakes over and over and over and over
Yeah.
again.
We read Frankenstein and we keep going.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, what's going to change? No, never mind.
No,
So
we're circular.
and
Yeah.
that's why I switched to speaking to individuals like you, because we can appreciate that. And
And
we,
knucking futs, as they say. I didn't say it bad, but I said a nice reverse for you.
yes, exactly. I
Yes.
appreciate that, Michael. I
That's all
do.
right. I want to respect your audience.
All right. Well, respect doesn't have to go to me, but yes, the audience and the listeners, absolutely 100%.
Absolutely.
Now, I want you to look ahead, not too far, not too far. So I don't know if you want to use a crystal ball, whatever
I
exactly,
have a
clairvoyant.
blue purple unicorn for $50.
No, hey,
Oh,
that's
I overshot it.
incredible,
Okay.
man. Where would you love to see the business in 6 to 12 months from now? Because you're not an overachiever, you're a super achiever. There you go.
I'll
So
own that now. Absolutely. My mom is incredibly surprised that I'm the hardest working person she knows when I was the laziest kid she ever knew.
yeah, I know.
Right? How'd that happen? Like she's still like literally, where'd you put my son? Um, I mean, in 6 months, we've built something we didn't think we'd build in 5 years. But that's okay. Right? Even in our most ambitious plans, we didn't think in 5 years we'd be where we are right now in 6 months. So with some cautious optimism and some sustainable growth without getting too far over our skis, but definitely stretching ourselves, in 6 months we'll have established our second business unit, which is the restaurant operations. We'll have established a 501c that helps do cleanup for Florida waterways. They'll be chapterized across the country. They'll be doing trash cleanup and remediation to help our ecology. We'll stood up a fund to invest in restaurants and technology companies as well, independently. We will also have stood up full recruiting services, and we'll also have stood up a event production and media service as well. And we'll be present at every major trade show in our industry, and we will have a podcast, or our two podcasts will be kicking some serious, and have built a nice community there and potentially monetized it. But money isn't the game for me. I think money's a wonderful byproduct. I mean, say there's people without money, they go, it's really stupid to
yeah,
say
I was
that.
going to say, I know a
But
lot of poor people that would argue
yeah,
that.
yeah. Look, can I have some byproduct, please?
Yeah.
No, but the reality is once you, and this is truth, and I think there's a lot of books that attest to this fact. If you have an abundance mindset, you actually, money seems to happen in the right ways once you know how. If you have a poverty mindset and a scarcity mindset, it will always be hard to get your brain around how you're going to get that next meal, that next thing, that house, that savings, etc. It all starts with believing you're worth more. Period. If you believe you're not worth anything, you will keep scraping away and getting nothing. If you believe what you do and you and your team has value, you can ask for whatever you want. Value is perceived, and the first person that has to perceive that value is you. That is number one, right? And so my value of myself and what I do is increased over time. And guess what? The revenue has also increased correspondingly. It's not because I'm any better. I was the same person, right? And one of the things I love is that that phrase, whether you think you can or you can't, you're probably right. It's that simple, right?
Interpretation of that philosophy, understood, accepted, and that was that. I love that.
Yeah. So, where am I going? We're going amazing places. Do I see it? Absolutely, with crystal clarity. Do I have a line of sight to it? 100%. Does everybody else in my orbit? 100%. Because if you see where you're going, I like to measure like, hey, am I right here? Am I out of my mind? Am I delusional? And sometimes it's like we love your vision, but we don't see it yet, and you get them there. Everybody in our orbit that's doing this sees it for us and wants to help us get us there.
As
And
long
no
as they
great thing was
see
ever
what you
done alone.
as long as they see what you draw, they can fill the colors in
Yeah.
after. That's all that's required.
Yeah.
Well, this has been an awesome conversation, Michael. I
Hope
thank
it's what you
again for
wanted.
hey, I thank you for being so candid and thoughtful and philosophical and once we wrap this series up, Beyond Business Barriers, I'll be putting together a summary of key insights from across all our guests, and I'll put a little video together there just to tease everybody, because that's what I love to do. And then send you off an edited copy. And I'd like to keep in touch with you just
Yeah.
because, we have to stick together. And
Well,
I'm
if you
intrigued
don't
by
have
your
26
knowledge.
people in line for a pod like you did this time, if you ever need a show filler, let me know. I might have some time, and always happy to hop on and help another pro.